Hey guys, so in today's video I want to talk about GT3 in iRacing, particularly the jump I made from Formula into GT3. So this is a video I'd like to do because it's just like a reflection, so it's really just a chill out style commentary. Hopefully you have a little warm drink or a tea, if not maybe go get one. And also I'd like to ask you guys if you want to make the comments into like a Reddit post, fire away. If you have any tips or any stories from your times at GT3 or moments where you're trying to get better in this particular category, share them in. I'm sure we'd all be very interested to hear it. But in this video, I'm going to be talking about the jump I made to GT3. Now, it's probably important that I mention that I have obviously driven GT3 before. It's not like the first time I've ever done it, but I will say in the past 2 or 3 months, I've gotten quite a lot faster and in lots of different aspects, so I was kind of approaching it in a way I'd never approached it before. I did have a bias as well. I kind of didn't like the GT3 cars, just the way, the way you have to drive slow to go fast. It never really intrigued me that much at all. I don't know why. I had a bias, and then I started hating on them for a little bit. But then I just hopped out in a race a while ago and I completely forgot the positives. There's the close racing, the battles, the pure grit in the driving behind those cars is absolute. It requires finesse, like constant and consistent finesse. And it's very, very fun. So it was definitely fun to jump straight back into it. But some of the things I noticed that were holding me back, or that I got a big shock that were difficult, not just difficult to do because I can do them, but it's difficult to master. Like, everyone wants to go fast. Like, I was having problems with braking differences. So in Formula you have a lot of downforce, but in the GT3 cars you've no aero reliance at all. So the braking zones are longer, they're less stable, the trailing is longer. Like in Formula cars I could brake really deep. GT3s punished that instantly, like big time. By going in too deep, you leave yourself like a sitting duck. There's the cornering styles, which are tricky. So there's the weight transfer, like you need to get on the throttle real smooth in GT3. Same with coming off the brakes. It's almost like a seesaw, feels like. And when you nail that seesaw effect, it's a really satisfying thing, but it's quite hard to do unless you have your gears set up very well and you have a lot of finesse in your left and right foot, so it's obviously down to the skill of the driver, how fast you can go on them. But to race against the really fast guys, it takes a lot of skill. So it's pretty impressive in that regard, but the cornering style of GT3s is still a bit prickly for me, and I'm working pretty hard on it. Next up is the handling weight of the car. Like, it's just heavy, like really heavy, and it's pretty hard jumping from Formula into GT3 because they're two different kind of cars altogether. The GT3, when things go wrong, it happens in slow motion. It's very sluggish, it bogs itself down, and people just get a run on you like you can never believe. The ABS and the traction control needs so much more finesse when you're dealing with this kind of weight, and if you over brake or if you slam the throttle, it just spikes tire temps, and then you start feeling this sluggishness throughout the rest of the corners and the following corners and all that stuff. So the weight, the cornering style, the braking differences, they're all some pretty different things I had to get used to, but these are challenges that I'm really enjoying. So let me know if there's any particular thing about the GT3 that you're working on at the moment, regardless of your skill. And I ask because I know a lot of people race GT3, so it's a fairly fair assumption that a few of you guys watching may be GT3 drivers yourself. Now, something that's fairly interesting compared to Formula is the racecraft and the traffic and how you deal with it. So the races are cool, they're bumper to bumper, and I absolutely adore that. When I look at my delta when I cross the line, let's say in Formula, sometimes you gain 4 tenths, you lose 3 tenths, you gain 2 tenths, you gain 1 tenth, you gain 7 tenths. It's the car's on rails in Formula, but when it comes off the rails, you can kind of lose quite a lot of time. In GT3, I could cross the line and just gain nothing on people. You could just stay the exact same distance. There's not much draft. There is at a very close distance, but in general, there's not too much draft. The traffic feels completely different. So it's very hard to get an opportunity. And if you kind of show the nose to make an opportunity, you could actually give your opponent a tenth. So using all the track and really squeezing everything that the car has to give is all you can do just to hang with these guys, which is very interesting, to be honest. And that would give you the thought that you need to really push the car, but if you push the car, you go slow. So you got to squeeze everything like a bloody soaked sponge out of the car, but do it in a nice, caressing, smooth, massaging way. So that's very weird. It's hard to get used to, but yes, as slow as smooth and smooth as fast. That is what the GT3 wants. That's what it's into. But like, for example, going for moves is very fun in the GT3s because if someone makes a small mistake, you are like obligated to go for the move. Like, let's say they have a small snap of oversteer leaving a corner, and that's it. You get your like headlight alongside them. That's it. You're in, and you do not leave, because that's the only other opportunity you're going to get again, is if they make a mistake or you get an incredible run on someone. But either way, because of the speed difference between the cars, it's very rare that you actually get like proper moves done, like let's say you see in Formula. Whereas in GT3, it's like you kind of got to take what you're given, and if you're presented with an opportunity, it's how you execute on that opportunity, which is super interesting, and it's very, very fun, like a racing style. One thing I do really like about the GT3s is the contact tolerance. So like you could touch other cars quite easily. A lot of 0x's and stuff like that. It's easy to bang doors or trade paint if you are so inclined into doing that, or even if there's an accidental bump. You know, it's not a race-ending thing for anyone. It's just, oh my god, you're a bit of a prick. You just dove down the inside and you kind of bumped me out of the way. It's like a very unsportsmanlike person to do, but the result was someone just lost a position. No one's done backflips in the car, because in Formula, when you touch wheels, someone is more than likely to do a backflip. So it's pretty nice, the contact tolerance in GT3, I have to say, which is the same for most car racing in iRacing, but in particular GT3, because those things are just like bricks. So when two bricks hit each other, it's just like, okay. So yeah, that's kind of like my little rant about GT3 done. It's going to be interesting to look back on this video maybe in a month or two. I'm really going to put in a lot of work on the GT3s just as a hobby, you know, and just try and continue to push and grind and see what kind of time I can find there. And I have to say, the people you race with there, they really put on a good race. So fair play to the community in the GT3 class. They are some pretty cool people. I haven't seen one bad egg yet so far, like at all. I guess that's because if they know they're going to go for a dive, ultimately they'll lose 3/10 on you. So all the bad eggs even have to be good eggs there. It really forces you to, it forces your hand, GT3 does. But like, the summary is that GT3 is more about managing rhythm and consistency versus like razor sharp line control in Formula. Like in Formula, it's really like throwing darts, and in GT3 it's like slow bowling or something like that, you know? So yeah, that's kind of my reflection after the week of GT3. I know there's been a lot of people who've given me advice and spent some time writing some very well-written comments, giving me different tips and tricks and stuff like that. So I feel like I kind of owe you guys the video. So anyone that has given me tips like that, this is for you, just letting you know how I'm getting on. It's really much appreciated, and it's a really cool community. You guys are kind of chipping in all your bits to try and help me survive the GT3 class. But I think this is going to make me a better driver overall, being able to jump between cars, which I always do. I drive whatever series whenever I want, but I just never given because I drive the Porsche Cup. I would drive the GTP cars because they don't have assists. It's very obvious if you're locking up or if you're not locking up. But with ABS and stuff, you got to monitor lights with your peripheral vision, the ABS lights, the little side lights and stuff like that. There's so much you need to monitor to make sure that car is being kept in like the window of just speed. And it's very easy to go over the window or under the window, but once you're actually in that window, it's a very satisfying feeling that you're putting in when you're doing physically the best you can do. So it's a challenge I'm going to continue to take. I'm going to keep going at it, and I'm hopefully going to work towards getting an endurance race under the belt, such as one of the 3-hour races or the 2.4 hours or whatever that pop up every now and again. So if you guys have any suggestions for endurance races you'd like to see me do, or even if you guys want to do some with me, let me know down in the comments below, because I'd be very intrigued to know. So yeah, that's today's video, guys. Thanks very much for watching this reflection of the past week of GT3, and I will see you on the track.